Welcome to the session on Technologies of Web3. The goal of this talk is to introduce you guys with the tools and tech available in the Web3 ecosystem so that you can build your next app a lot faster. Before we start, this is my introduction. My name is Saurabh Srivastava. I'm a software engineer in Geeky Ants. I love to make coding videos in YouTube, and this is my channel's name, IB Coder. This is my Twitter handle if you want to connect, and I also write some blogs on Hashnode. All right, let's see what we are going to look into this talk. What is our agenda for today? We are first going to look into what is Web3. I'm not going to go deep into it because Rishabh has already taken that task and fulfilled it perfectly. Then we are going to look into some technical terminologies. This is very short again. Then will come our main part, which is technologies in Web3 ecosystem that will help you build any app as fast as possible. Then we are going to look into what are the different spheres or areas where we can use the Web3 or where it is being used currently. Again, a short one. And then finally, I will conclude with one self-written quote. Okay. So what is Web3? I won't go into depth as I told. I will focus on the three core values and three core technological areas which Web3 will operate on. What are the three core values here? The first value, the first of the three core values is openness. In terms of open source and open network. Okay, everything that you'll find in Web3, if they are following the ethos of Web3, should be open sourced and they should be on open network or otherwise known as blockchain networks. The second value here is, or ethos here is that, and this is inbuilt in technology, is that it should be trustless, meaning no need for third party to generate trust between the two parties that are involved in any sort of interaction. Okay. The third is the permissionless. What is permissionless? Well, in a sense, it means that both users and suppliers or the parties that are interacting with each other can participate without the authorization of a governing body. That's called permissionless in terms of Web3. So these are the three core values or ethos of Web3. Then we are going to look into what are the three core technologies that, well, technological areas that the Web3 will cover eventually. The first is the edge computing. This simply means that your data devices itself is a source of computing power, meaning your mobile phones, your vehicles, your desktops, laptops, they are all the source of computing powers, and because they are spread across the globe, in a sense across the edge of the globe, hence the terminology that we use is basically edge computing. Then we have decentralized data networks. This is another one of the core technological areas that the Web3 should be built upon, and it will enhance, let's say. So these are the devices, basically all the devices that I just talked about, when they become the data networks themselves, right? And what happens when you have your device as a data network is that you have complete control over the privacy and the permission of the access or selling of your data to anyone, giving birth to what is known as data economy, where a user is a sole owner and controller of its own data. So I can sell my data, or I can just refuse to sell my data. That's up to me. If I am going to sell my data, I'm going to earn something from it. That's what is known as data economy. And the final part, and this is a big part, which is like the hidden part, nobody talks about it, is that we are going to be using the artificial intelligence in Web3. With such massive pool of data, the potential for the AI is quite huge and can go beyond whatever we know right now. It's just going to skyrocket. Okay, so in the words of Max and Richard, and I'll provide the source for this code at the end, Web3 enables the future where distributed users and machines are able to interact with data, value, and other counterpart parties via substrate of peer-to-peer network without the need for third parties. The result, a composable, human-centric, and privacy-preserving computing fabric for the next wave of the web. All right, now that we have looked into the values and technologies at heart, let's first answer what are the some technical terminologies used in the Web3 app building that you will come across eventually. The first is smart contract. Smart contract is nothing but a backend code that we deploy on a blockchain network, let's say Ethereum blockchain. It is deployed in bytecode format. Then we have application binary interface. ABI, in short, is an interface through which we allow our application to interact with the deployed smart contract using smart contract addresses. And the third terminology that I will talk about is transactions. Every operation which changes the state of blockchain, say Ethereum, is known as transaction. It costs gas fees. Okay. Before going into the meat of the presentation, one more thing that needs to be talked about is the technological layer which enables Web3. It has 5 parts. So the first part is layer 0. This is not something that as application developer we ever interact with, but this is something the very base of the entire thing. This is kind of like a protocol layers. Okay, so we have to have P2P internet overlay protocol layer, right? That is what lib P2P or dev P2P. And then we also have in layer 0 platform neutral computation description languages like WASM or EVM, right? Etc. Then we have layer 1, which is data distribution protocols come here, which is IPFS. This is where you actually kind of like get all the links or decentralized links where you store your data. For example, the Bored Ape NFT is actually stored here. Okay, and then we have low trust interaction platforms, then low trust interaction protocols like Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., and then transient data messaging like Whisper or Matrix. These are all layer 1 part. Then we have layer 2. Layer 2 have like state channels, plasma protocols, encrypted storage, etc. This is where we are going to come into picture as an application developer if we want to build anything on Web3. Layer 3. Layer 3 is protocol extensible developer APIs and languages. So it includes Web3 JS, EtherJS, Solidity, and Rust. And then we have layer 4, which is protocol extensible user interface Gradle, which is in very simple terms, it means that this is a layer which helps you interact with your users. So let's say wallets come here. So MetaMask wallet, Phantom wallet, etc. Okay, let's finally talk about the tools and tech that will help you build your Web3 app faster than when you didn't know about these tools. We are going to look into Moralis here. Okay, Moralis is one of the tools that I quite liked. I worked with it and I quite liked it. Then we are going to look into SuperFluid, then the third web, then the Alchemy, and then this graph. Graph is quite great of a tool that you can leverage in order to index decentralize your blockchain, let's say. Okay, let me be precise. First of all, there won't be any code here, just introduction, which will point you to them so that you can explore yourself. Okay, I'm not going to tackle any code here. Okay, let's start with Moralis. So Moralis can be seen as a Firebase of crypto. If you know about Firebase, just assume that sort of simplicity while you're working with any blockchain app in the future, okay, in the Web3 app. It provides managed backend for blockchain projects, automatically syncing the balances of your users into the database, allowing you to set up on-chain alerts, watch smart contract events, build indexes, and so much more. You can do all of that through this particular Moralis tool. And mind you, in very few lines of code, 3-4 lines, and everything is already taken care of. It is the fastest way to build and deploy DApps or decentralized apps on Ethereum, BSC, Polygon, Solana, and Elrond. Therefore, not to mention, it literally means that Moralis dApps are cross-chain by default. Building on Moralis ensures that your decentralized app is future-proof. Even if new blockchain are invented, your DApp will instantly work on that chain. Okay. Now, Moralis has something as a core which is known as Moralis server. So it's a server that they maintain, and there are two parts of each DApps. So there's anytime you're going to build a decentralized app, you are going to have two parts. One is the on-chain part for all the security and the privacy and the features and the ethos that come with Web2, Web3, and then you're going to have an off-chain part, which is going to be a part where your user, or let's say, which will help your user to have quick interactions, right? You cannot just simply let your user interact with blockchain directly. Otherwise, every interaction is a little bit slow. So this server is used in order to speed up this off-chain part implementation. It's a bundled solution that Moralis provides. It has all the features that most DApps need. As you can see, this is the on-chain part, smart contracts, on-chain assets like tokens and NFTs, on-chain transaction, etc. And then this is the off-chain part, which is basically backend infrastructure that collect the data from the blockchain, offers the API to clients like web apps and mobile apps, indexes the blockchain, and so on. Okay, these are all the off-chain part. And this is the image that I just took from their docs. So I'll be providing the link of the doc at the end. And in this image, you can see that as a dashboard, it gives you the network traffic per second information. It gives you the CPU usage information, the server CPU usage information, the RAM usage information, the disk usage information, and how many users do you have signed up using their wallet in your app. So this is everything is provided here. And their website is on moralis.io, https moralis.io, and they also have a very great YouTube channel where they teach you how you can build stuff on Web3 using Moralis. So you can definitely check this out. The next thing that we are going to talk about is SuperFluid. Now, SuperFluid is a new DeFi primitive that automates recurring transaction. This is to be noted, recurring transaction by allowing tokens to flow seamlessly on Ethereum. So it enables a variety of functions from money streaming to one transaction reward distribution. I'll talk about what this means in just a while. Smart contract callbacks, a user level batch call system, and an SDK for the apps. Okay, what is money streaming? Well, think about sending endless stream without locking your tokens upfront to a wallet. The stream will keep on flowing until you stop it or run out of funds. Receivers will get the token directly in their wallet. No withdrawal is required. Okay. Then we have the instant distribution. Distribute the rewards from one wallet to, let's say, multiple wallets. Here in this case, the example is thousands of recipients in a single transactions. Okay. So if this is not clear, let me give you a brief idea as to what kind of app that can be built using SuperFluid. So these are some app ideas that I came up with, or let's say I pulled from this particular Notion link, and this slide I will provide it at the end so that you guys can actually see what this is. But this is from a hackathon that I attended, and there were multiple people who are building multiple things. So this is some ideas that I picked from there. One is the NFT that sends its owner a reward token as long as they hold it. So for example, think about you give somebody an NFT, and that NFT has to have been held right there, because many people are just there to get the reward and then dump it. Now imagine that you want your art or your NFT, let's say, to be valued and only provide benefit as long as it is being held by the user. So you can just do that using the SuperFluid. As long as they have that, the tokens will keep flowing to their wallet. Then we have something, let's say, a platform for attaching royalties or donations to existing NFTs that can be built here. We can also have income sharing agreement that can come up with it. One of my ideas was kind of like freelance in Web3 that can be built with it. And or you can think about it like you can build a Netflix type of streaming site where the user pays as long as they stream the video. That's it. They don't have to pay monthly subscription or everything. Just play and pay, or pay and play, something like that. Okay. So these are the app ideas that can be found in Superfluid, and this is a link where you can actually read more about these ideas that came up in that hackathon. The third is Third Web. Third Web provides this basically provides a smart contracts, SDKs, and UI components that creators, game studios, and developers can integrate into their app. Trust me when I say this. This is the most user friendly and most, what you can say, this is kind of like, if you have less coding experience in terms of Web3, this is the thing that you will want to go for. Okay. Third Web. It helps create NFTs and custom tokens. Tokens literally means crypto coins, manage drops, develop our own white label marketplaces, and much more. The tools and SDKs of Third Web are free to use. We only pay the small percentage of any royalty we receive. So once your app is deployed on mainnet, they have some royalties. So anytime you receive a payment, they get that. And currently, you can use JavaScript and Python for its SDKs to interact with its SDKs. This is their website name, thirdweb.com. And as you can see, you can build NFTs, marketplaces, tokens, packs, drops, splits. So packs are basically a loot boxes type of scenario. This is something that we built, that I built, let's say. And drops are basically like timely drops. This user can claim, like you can claim some NFTs. These are for that. Let's say certain activity is completed. Now you can just go and claim it for free. So this is that sort of scenario. And this is the fourth one, Alchemy. Now, Alchemy, this is a very short mention. It's basically a Web3 wrapper around Web3.js. It's a wrapper around Web3.js. If you have already worked with Web3, think of it like this is just a wrapper that provides enhanced API methods around that. So what are some enhancement that it provides is automatic retries on rate limit. That's one of them. Then it has like upgraded WebSockets which don't miss events if the WebSocket needs to be reconnected. So what happens in Web3.js is like if like there's a disconnection, the event actually gets missed, and this is one of the fundamental problems with WebSockets. So it has upgraded WebSockets which does not fall into that trap. Okay. Then is also like a seamless provider handling where most requests will be sent through Alchemy, but requests involving signing and sending transactions are sent via browser like provider like MetaMask or Trust Wallet if the user has it installed, or via custom provider specified in options. So it's like a seamless provider handling. So it's very easy to handle the provider side of things like MetaMask and the layer 4 side of things. And this is their website on alchemy.com. You can go and check out their website and their docs. Finally, let's come to this graph one. This is something that I quite liked. So a graph is an indexing protocol for querying networks like Ethereum and IPFS. Anyone can build and publish open APIs. This is the part, open APIs called subgraphs, making data easily accessible. So if you don't get it, you'll get it by the end of this. So in practice, this basically does for Web3 what Google did for existing internet. Like you can search any site, Google indexes it, and it lists you that. So that's basically what it is. It's kind of like that only. So in order to achieve that, they have two products. Okay, they have two products. One is the graph protocol, which is available on the graph.com/explorer. So this is a graph explorer. This is the first product that they have. Okay, and you can find the link. You can just go to this link and you'll find what it is. It helps us search existing subgraphs deployed on blockchain networks like Ethereum and IPFS. So it indexes them, all the subgraphs or that you have, And subgraphs, I'll talk about what they are. So it indexes them and you can just search them here, very easy. Then they have also like subgraph studio. So basically slash studio, if you want to go there, this is the second product that they have, and it helps us create subgraphs which are open API built on top of blockchain. So what are subgraphs? Subgraphs are open API built on top of blockchain. So this is it, right? So they help you create a subgraph, and then they can also help you search other subgraph that already exist. And subgraph are basically just open API that can be like used to get or fetch or data from the blockchain. And this is their site. This is a graph explorer. All of these are deployed subgraphs that you can see. All these, they are all deployed subgraphs. You can search for subgraph and look for their information if you need it. So this is one of the subgraph that I was checking. And once you click on it, it will open and it will show you all its information like network, query URL, subgraph ID, what it is, what's its domain URL, what is GitHub URL, because remember Web3 has to be open sourced. So it's GitHub URL, query fees, etc. That signal button that you see on the top, it helps indicate that indexing of this subgraph is important. So anytime you find that certain subgraph is important to you, you click on that button, you pay a certain amount, and the chain will start indexing it much better. So as you can see, it's in the middle and the progress is like 100%. So that's the entire range. And for querying operation, any querying operation, you need to create an API, and you can see that manage API keys link. That's where you can go and create your own API URL. And this will require you to have a MetaMask wallet, by the way. And then you can check on that documentation that they have where you can use your own language to work with this API. And this is the subgraph studio. So using a studio, you can create your own subgraphs or open API for querying blockchain data of your choice. For example, let's say you want to create an NFT API, you can do that. OpenSea, if you don't know, actually has its own API that fetches the NFT for you. And if you have used MetaMask, you have to understand that MetaMask actually uses the OpenSea API to fetch your NFT existing on the blockchain network. In case OpenSea blocks that your NFT from their API, MetaMask will lose that access to the blockchain. So in case you want to build your own NFT API, you can do that using this subgraph. So let me remind a little bit, like this is something that I just put it at the end to understand what graphs is. Summarize what graph is. It's the easiest way to index and query data. It's transparent and open network and not proprietary software. That's one. It's completely decentralized and robust, maintaining the ethos of like Web3. These are two things that we need. Decentralization, the part of Web3 ethos. And finally, most of you must have guessed it, it's built on top of GraphQL. So that if you have worked with GraphQL, you will find it very easy to work with Graph. Okay, let's see what are the different areas of Web3. And this is just one slide, so just bear with me. What are the different areas of Web3 is basically DeFi. DeFi means decentralized finance. And the importance here is, imagine sending massive amount or even a little bit of amount from one country to another in seconds. That's the thing that we are talking about when we are talking about decentralized finance, and also no governing body in between, just people to people interaction. Then we have NFTs, which is another area of Web3, which is basically non-fungible tokens. So if you have like two coins of 1 rupee or $1, whatever cents you have, right, you can change it from one to another, right? So if I have one coin and you have one coin, it does not matter. There's no that's basically a fungible token, because one can be exchanged for another. NFTs basically means one cannot be exchanged for another. So let's say our fingerprint, that's basically a nature's non-fungible token, fingerprint or DNA. Okay, what is metaverse? So The way I see it, metaverse is basically a remodeled or restructured virtual reality. That name virtual reality didn't pick up the tongue, and metaverse kind of like feels like fictional fictional entity. So it kind of like went way, it became too popular. So it's just metaverse or virtual reality on steroids. Why steroids? Is because we now possess the we now have, let's say, the technology and the internet speed and everything that we require to build something like that. It's the same scenario that happens with API, happened with API, like it existed in 1960. And even though the only drawback that AI had back then was that the data wasn't available. And by 2003 and onwards, with the advent of internet, which became so popular, the data just became so massive. Now the AI can work with it. So it's the same thing. Metaverse or virtual reality thinking pattern exists in 1990. Well, the time wasn't right. Now the time is right for it to work. Then we can do something like marketplaces. This is another one of the areas in Web3. So OpenSea is a marketplace for selling art or NFTs. So this can be that. Or the freelance website could be another marketplace. So just some ideas. Then we also have another area in Web3, which is decentralized apps, right? And they are a little bit different than OpenSea because look, the different, if you want to differentiate between what is Web2 and Web3 in current market, anytime you don't pay for any interaction in any of the website, understand that it's a part of Web2. If you are paying something or using your wallet, it's a part of Web3. That's as simple an explanation as I can give you that on there, to differentiate between what is Web2 currently and what is Web3. And then we can also build something in this area of Web3 as tokens. So crypto tokens basically means Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are all tokens. So every blockchain has to have a token mechanism and tokenomics, let's say, and they operate on that. So this is something that you can build as well. So these six are like the broad areas in which the Web3 ecosystem will evolve in future more, in my opinion. The DeFi, NFTs, metaverse, marketplaces, the apps, and tokens. Let's see what happens in future. So this is the quote that I talked about. Web3 is a wonderful space to be involved in if you're currently living right now, as this is the correct time to do so, when we are not too late and we are not too early either, right? We are at the very great time to be involved in this. There's a huge opportunity that comes with huge risk involved to bring some massive change in the software industry within the next decade, which will have overarching effect on every other industry present in the markets, every other sector, from finance to the way we do like the HR department, in the management, everything is about to change, right? So if we can pull it off, if we as a software engineers can pull it off, it will be like massive change. And not to mention, we have to understand that for the first time, as software engineers, we can act on like self managers or like finance system builders as well, right? So this is a great opportunity. Let's not let go of that. And from only this, I will be concluding my entire talk. This for the sake of transparency and for the sake of giving credit from where I learned these things. These are the sources. So one is from Web3 technology stacks. You can definitely check these out. The links will be here as they are. And thank you for coming to this session.